girls are enjoying your day today. It's been a minute. We're over here again. We're back, and today we're going to be talking about one of my star clients that graduated the Natural Nomad Academy. All right, we're going to talk about his journey, how we met, what he did, the goals he set, the goals he accomplished, and how he did all of that. All right. So if you're new here, stick around, stay tuned. What we're going to do is we're going to chat like just for a little bit, so I get to know a little bit about some of you guys and girls that are joining, and then we're going to dive into the podcast episode, which will be on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. So definitely stick around, stay tuned for that. If you want to find it, it's Meathead on the Mic. Again, that's Meathead on the Mic on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. All right. So I'm going to let a little bit of you guys and girls join here before we start off this discussion. Again, you're more than welcome to ask questions as I go along. And at the very end, I'll try my best to answer all the questions. All right. But in today's episode, specifically in episode 187, we're going to be talking about one of my clients that graduated the program and how he actually did it, what challenges he overcame. And honestly, I'm going to try to get as much information out that you might relate to if you are struggling with making a commitment to your fitness journey. All right. I think this is going to be a pretty fucking cool episode for you guys. All right. So, again, I'm going to remind you, people that are joining, you guys are welcome to ask questions. You guys are more than welcome to interact. I encourage it. Don't be a sitting duck. But I won't be responding to you guys as I go along the episode. I will be responding to you guys at the very end if I do have times at the end of it. Okay. So with that said, with that out the way, I'll be diving into today's podcast episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yo, what's good, meatheads? Hope you're having an amazing day, and welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's the returning champion, IFBB PRO Matt Butale, coming at you with another topic. And today, I'll be breaking down my client who is an officer that did what 99% of you so-called men are afraid to do. All right. We're going to be talking about his journey, how we met, what he had to go through, some of the obstacles and challenges that he has to go through in order to secure his dreams. All right. And in this case specifically, it was to go on stage and compete for the first time. But this doesn't have to be only if you want to compete. This also does apply to you if you have any other obstacle or big goal in your, I guess, life, but mainly specifically in your fitness journey. Okay. So we're going to be talking about something that I know 99% of you men listening are just too afraid to do. And you might have a little bit of a hint as to what it might be, but just in case you don't, stick around and we're going to dive into this. All right. So before we dive in, share this out to a friend or two that you know needs to hear this. Okay. Like think of somebody, think of a guy. I know you have a friend that needs to hear something motivating, something that's actually going to help them push themselves, to challenge themselves, to get that goal and to be in full control and full possession of that goal. All right. Send it out to somebody that you know needs to hear that. Okay. So let's break it down here. Let's talk about my old client that graduated. Okay. His name is Anthony. All right. If you don't know him, it's because you don't follow me on social media. Shameless plug. You can just search up Matt Butale, MATT space BUTALE on Instagram or on TikTok or wherever, and you'll find me. So follow me because you're missing out on all this information, and I do post a lot of information. So Anthony did what 99% of you so-called men are actually too much of a fucking pussy to do. All right. And I'm calling you out. Again, this is tough love. If you don't like tough love, if you can't handle it, if, I sound like a dickhead and you just don't want to listen to this, you're more than welcome to leave, and you're more than welcome to continue fucking up your life. Like, it's up to you. Okay. So Anthony did what 99% of you so-called men are too fucking afraid to do. All right. And I'm just going to walk you through. If you don't know Anthony, I'm going to meet him. Allow you to meet him. I'm going to introduce you to Anthony. Okay. He's a police officer based in Ontario, Canada, who serves the public and honestly does his best to keep himself in shape. Like when he came up to me, he wasn't crazily obese. He wasn't like way out of shape. He had some fat and water on him, but he was already going to the gym about 3 to 4 times a week. Didn't really know how to eat properly, and he was doing other things that was honestly setting his health back, right? And I'm not going to get too specific, but if you know, then you know. But if you don't, then you don't know, all right? You might figure it out as we go along this episode, okay, with some of the hints. Okay, so he's a police officer, and he just, does his best to keep himself in shape. He's a working man, right? Some of you listening to this, some of you men listening to this, don't even do the bare minimum when it comes to that. Like, you guys work, and then you don't even, put some time aside to make sure your physique, your health is in a state of either progression or at least not in a state of regression, right? So that's the first thing he did. What 99% of you men do not do that work in this world, whether you have kids or not, doesn't matter. All right, so let's move forward. He's got a guy with a lot of tattoos. Like I want you to paint the picture. He's a police officer. He's got a fuck ton of tattoos. Not in the best shape, and to most people, he might even appear like a little bit scary. Okay, but in fact, he's just like you, and he probably had his life a little bit harder than you did, if I'm being 100% honest here. Okay, so Anthony was and is currently an advocate for PTSD and has been dealing with it for over a decade, almost 2 decades, right? He's been struggling with PTSD. So for those of you listening to this that are like, you know what, that guy was already in the gym 3 to 4 days a week, eating not the worst. He wasn't like obese when he came to me, so shit must have been easier starting off for him. Well, like, newsflash, he also suffered with a mental illness, like most men do, right? And even so, he was still able to achieve what I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Okay, so he's a PTSD advocate, and he's been that way for over a decade. He's been, helping people within his community with PTSD, including himself, because it's something that he struggles with. Okay, on top of being busy with work. Again, when you're a police officer, you see a bunch of crazy shit. Okay, and he lives by the motto: make marks, leave traces. I'm going to repeat that again for you guys because you're going to definitely remember why I'm saying this again. Okay, remember this. Remember this. Make marks, leave traces. Remember that, okay? So he did just that when he reached out to me. He reached out to me to get help, to get ready, to make one of his biggest commitments yet. Okay? That's what he did. And not only did he make a commitment to compete at his first bodybuilding show, his first ever competition, right? Not only that, but guys and girls, I'm going to remind you, he had something else going on in his life. I'm actually thinking if I should even talk about it. I should have talked to him beforehand, but I'm honestly I'm going to repress it a little bit. He was dedicating this show to a family member that passed away. Okay. 99% of you guys that like think of challenges or think of things to do, this, that, the other thing, goals, New Year's resolutions, you want to do them. And I see that you want to do them, but you kind of like, they're not based in anything. Like, you want to do them because it looks fun, or you want to do it because it looks cool, but you don't really get tied to doing something unless you have like a base, like something like behind it that makes you want to do it, that really fucking matters, like a real reason why, per se, right? And in this case, Anthony's reason why was his late family member, and also the fact that he's challenging, his old self, because he was the type of guy like you, like 99% of men, who each and every single year say, I don't have enough time. I work too much. I want to achieve this goal. And then when the time comes, you don't achieve that goal. Like, he was definitely that kind of person. And he's like, I'm fucking tired of being that person, number one. And number two, I'm going to dedicate this show to my grandmother. Okay. That's the person who passed away. It was his grandmother. I'm not going to specify what happened. But so he's like, dude, he came up to me. He's like, Matt, I'm fucking ready. I think it was like about October, November. He decided to reach out, and you just laid it out on the table. He says, I want to compete because I'm doing this for my grandmother, and I'm doing this for myself because last year I said I wanted to do it. I didn't fucking do it. The year before I said I wanted to do it. I didn't do it. So on and so forth, right? So he's like, I'm fucking done doing that shit. Let me just lay it all here and, leave no stone unturned. I'll listen to you. Just tell me what I got to do and I'll get there. And I'm like, cool. So that's one thing that he is that 99% of you guys aren't, which is 100% fucking certain. And another thing he does, which 99% of men don't do, or at least follow through on, is their commitments. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. So he made a commitment to compete at his very first men's physique show. It was called the Pure Muscle Classic. It was the very first year of its running, right? And he did it not only for his personal goals, he did it not only to inspire his coworkers and fellow PTSD survivors, but he also did it for his grandmother who passed away when he was really young. Okay. And a lot of you so-called men, don't fight for anything. Like, you just go to work, you go home, and you do the absolute least you could do just to get by. And I'm not here to honestly rip you a new one. Like, I understand life is repetitive, especially if you're in the rat race. Like, it's not like you don't want to do it. I'm not telling you that like you're retarded or anything like that. Like, it's like, I get why you're not doing it. You've got kids maybe, or you're actually genuinely fucking tired. Like, you have legit excuses. You have real reasons as to why you shouldn't. But doing your shit anyway is what makes you a man. And I'm just going to lay that down here. And that shows that you're fighting for something. And like, the word is fight here, right? You're fighting for something. You're not going to have it handed to you. You're not going to like walk somewhere, then have the opportunity just presented to you. Here you go. Here's 30 pounds off your body, like, without any work. Like, you're going to have to do hard shit. You're going to have to fight your way through most of your adversity to get anything that you want, especially if it's worth having, whether it's the body, whether it's money, whether it's status, whatever it is. Think of any challenge that you've had in life, school, even if for those of you academics out there with degrees, right? How much time did you have to put in? How much money did you have to invest? You know what I mean? How much stress did you have to endure during exam season, right? Or the things you have to sacrifice when your friends are clubbing and wasting your time, and you're like actually at home studying and all this shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, all of the things that you had to sacrifice. The fight is why you got your degree. The fight is why you got your house. The fight is why you got your body, that career that you wanted. Or maybe you're currently fighting right now as we speak to get to the next level, right? But a lot of you so-called men, 99% of you guys, don't fight for fucking anything. Like, you kind of let life just wash you over, and you do your best, but you don't do enough. Okay? And your best isn't enough, let's be honest. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this. You would be doing what 99% of the men are doing, which is actually getting the work done. All right? So when you do that, when you are just, coasting along, you're not fighting through your day, you're not actually making wins based off of climbing an uphill battle, you're inspiring no one by not supporting your community or being an example of your community and leading from the front as you should. Right? And if you don't care about leading from the front, if you don't care if people around you are better because of you, then don't listen to this. But if you actually give a shit about your community and you want people to look at you and say, hey, this is that guy that used to like fuck around and be a piece of shit. Now look at him, like, he's got this and he's got that, he's got this, and whatever, it's the body, it's the car, it's the house. You can see this person's changed their life and they become like a role model or someone to at least look up to or respect. I think at the very least, every man should aspire for that to a certain degree. Like, they should aspire to that to a certain degree. Why? Because not only does it make you better, just to aim higher and to get more in your own life, but it makes the people around you and closest to you better as well. Right? And honestly, I don't know about you guys, but helping other people is the biggest thing you can do while you're alive. Whether it's directly or indirectly. When you take care of yourself, when you succeed and like tackle your own goals, you inspire other people. And it's not your responsibility. It's not your job to inspire people. But believe me, it certainly is the thing that you should strive to do if you actually care about being a person that contributes to the society. If you care about being a person that is just a role model or someone that, you would want to be, like a superhero in a sense, you'd be the best version of yourself. Okay? And like most of you men don't, or won't at least, dedicate your self-improvement and being a role model to the people around you that are alive, like that are currently alive today. Like, Anthony was doing this for a fucking dead person. And most of you wouldn't even do it for your son or your daughter sitting on your lap right now. And what am I talking about when I say do it? I mean, actually secure that goal, achieve that goal of the better job, of the better body, right? Or the better lifestyle. Like, Anthony, I'm just going to use him as an example. One of my clients who graduated the program, all right, used an external force, like something that has already happened. It's a dead woman, his dead grandmother, as a source of energy, which was pain, to push himself into another direction and basically allow him to face his fears. So he used pain to help him face his fears. Okay. And he used that to improve himself, and literally through a product of that, everybody outside of him started to improve. Like, his closest friends now, I see them, they look better. Like, whenever I pass by Anthony at the gym, the people that he's hanging around are all equally as jacked. They all look good, and they all have like, a good mindset. They're not lazy, they're not slouches, they do the most, right? And I love to see how that ripple effect happened even with him. Okay. And he's dedicated his journey to somebody that's not here. Some of you people have here that are still here today, and you wouldn't do a fucking thing. And those are the men I don't like. And honestly, I know you don't like those men either, because that's you and you don't like yourself. When you look in the mirror, how do you fucking feel? When you look at your body, honestly, when you come out the shower, how do you honestly feel when you look at yourself in the mirror? When you open up your bank account, how do you actually feel looking at it? Like, do you think you're doing everything that you could possibly be doing? Like, do you actually think that's happening? Or do you know you're fucking like coasting along? Like, answer that question to yourself. Most of you men won't dedicate your self-improvement and being a role model to the people that are fucking around you that depend on you, like your sons, your daughters, your parents, or your spouse, while Anthony did it for a dead person. All right. So he did it for his dead grandmother who passed away a couple years ago. And when he dedicated himself, we were able to tackle a bunch of things. We were able to secure the bag, essentially, to get him on stage successfully and to improve his physique, but not only that, his internal health. Like that thing that I was alluding to at the start of this episode, where I said I'm not going to touch too much on it because of his profession. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. But he improved his internal health by being more vigilant with blood work and his micronutrients. And if you don't know what I mean, you don't know what I mean. All right. But that's one thing that we improved on. Okay. He's also strengthened his mind because he was able to actually do the thing that he set aside for so fucking long. Right. Like he wanted to compete for like 3 or 4 years, I believe. And he just was too afraid to do it. Right. And then he did it. And then he saw other people started to respect him because he starts to respect himself and face his fears using pain instead of letting pain drive him down, which 99% of men, experience. So that's also what happened. On top of that, he's learned more than he's ever known about like growing lean muscle. I remember talking to him on like a few occasions where he's just like, fuck, if I just knew this earlier, I wouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. If I just knew this earlier, I would have been in a different position. Right. So, like, honestly, when I'm listening to this guy, I'm like, damn, like, yo, you're right. I feel grateful that I'm here to help you. But the one thing that you can do to make help better for you is to use the help earlier. Like, that's the only thing. If you could rewind the clock and apply the help, that's the best thing to do. And that's what he's doing. Right. And that's what he did. And he was able to learn so much more. He was a sponge. He asked questions on things he was genuinely concerned about. And I helped him. Okay. And that knowledge is theirs forever. It's theirs for him to keep. Okay. And on top of that, he faces fears like a man and competed. Okay. So this is the number one thing. Actually, this is the core of the episode. It's actually why the episode is titled like this. 99% of you men make commitments and never face them at all. 99%, if not 99.9%. Okay. And that's not Anthony. Anthony did the complete opposite. Face his fears and he went to go and compete. Okay. As I mentioned at the very beginning, he was training a little bit. He wasn't, he didn't have abs. I can tell you that much. You can see there was somewhat of a structure with his shoulders and chest, but overall, he had a bunch of body fat and water. Okay. And he dropped his fat to under 9%, his body fat. And let's not forget, in that time process, in that time period of him prepping for that show, he lost 32 pounds of body fat. Okay. So him facing his fears and going on stage to compete and being a role model for the people around him cost him nothing but his best body and time. 32 pounds. He lost 32 pounds of body fat. How many of you men here listening have lost 32 pounds of body fat? I bet 99% of you haven't. All right? Just sit with that. Sit with that. Your success is on the other side of all the uncomfortable shit that you don't want to do. It's just true. It just is, right? So not only did that happen, not only did he get into the best shape of his life, but he did what 99% of you men can't do. He stuck to his fucking word. That's what it is. That's the name. That's why we are talking about this today. Yes, I'm proud of Anthony for losing his 32 pounds and, competing for the first time, facing his fears, helping the community around him, being, contributing member of society. But what I'm more happy about is that he did something that 99% of you men, and honestly, in the past too, I made this mistake where you don't stick to your word. Like, let me know if you resonate with this here. Every single day I go to the gym and I hear some guys, especially you guys, you know who you are listening to this. All right. I always hear, yo, bro, you're looking good. I'm trying to get like you. Or this year's my year. Or I'm going to lose 20 pounds by summer or fall or Christmas or whatever, New Year's. I'm going to lose 20 fucking pounds. But by the time that day comes, you end up still looking like a sack of shit. Why? because you lie to yourself when you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it. Like, that's just what you do. Like, you say something, you just don't fucking follow through on it. You don't stick to your word. That's what 99% of men just don't fucking do. Like, ask yourself, have you ever said something that you wanted to do and haven't done it and felt that embarrassment and felt that shame when people came up to you? They're like, yo, what the fuck? Or at least they probably don't even care, honestly. They probably forget because you do this all the time and they think you're the boy who cries wolf. But how do you feel when you look in the mirror knowing that you said something you didn't fucking do? Whether it's to fit in those clothes again, whether it's to increase your strength, whether it's to look better for your girl. Honestly, some of you guys I know are personally ashamed of your body. I talk to a lot of you guys. Okay? Like, have you ever done that? Have you ever said something that you really in your heart wanted to fucking do, like to get, fit or to get aesthetic, to take that leap and go back to school, to get a better job, all this stuff? Like, have you ever felt that way where you said something, you just haven't fucking done it? If you ever did that and you're sick and tired, I got something for you. If you've ever done that and you're sick and tired of just repeating that loop every single year, like Anthony did before he reached out, I got something for you. All right. I'm looking for 5 men who want to break that cycle of not keeping their word and burned 16 pounds or at least 20 pounds in the next 16 weeks. All right. 5 men who want to break the cycle of not keeping their word and burning 20 pounds of fat in the next 16 weeks, which is 4 months. Okay, it is realistic. 20 pounds, I know it seems like, oh my God, it's not really a huge number. Okay? That's only 5 pounds a month for 4 months. And you could do that. The worst case scenario is that you wouldn't be able to fit into your fucking clothes because you'd have a way better body. You'd be way more fucking aesthetic. And better yet, you'd be a man who actually does what they say they're going to do. If that's you, all I want you to do is just reach me out with a DM and say, yo, I listened to episode 187. Just DM me the number 187 and I'll reach out to you. All right. Word is bond, especially as a man. You're either going to have excuses or you're going to have excellence. Anthony had both, but he decided he was done having fucking excuses. And now look at him. Be a man of your word or a boy of your lies. You decide. All right. That's it. That's all. If you like this episode, please share it out with a friend. I hope I was able to deliver a valuable experience to you guys and girls today. Thank you so much for your precious time and attention. All right. Don't forget to screenshot and share this podcast story to your Instagram page. You could do that if you want. That'd be super, super fucking nice. I'd appreciate that. Let's embrace our inner meathead together. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic was about. Matt Butale signing out. Boom. All right, folks. Podcast episode's recorded. Okay, let's see here real quick. Yo, it's good. I appreciate y'all on TikTok. Thanks for joining. 112 likes. Cool. Shout out to everybody that popped up over here. I see you. One of my cousins was in the chat. What's good, bro? All right. So, yeah, man. Shout out to everybody, honestly. Yo, shout out Liz. What's good? Oh, I got a question here from one of my boys. He says, do you think it takes a long time to build a good physique naturally, even with good nutrition, sleep, and training to failure? Absolutely. It takes a good time in general to build a good physique, but if you're natural, it's going to take a little longer or a lot longer, depending on your genetics. And that's if you check every box right. If you don't check every box right, depending on your genetics, again, you could still grow at a fairly decent rate. But with my experience, because, I wasn't perfect the entire time, and I'd say I'm on the better side of genetics, I was able to grow, but nothing was fast. Okay. So don't try to be perfect. Don't focus on being perfect. Just literally try to pick the base amount of things that you need to do in every department when it comes to training, nutrition, and rest, and try your best to keep constants, to be consistent with a few constants or a few variables. So for example, going to the gym, not going less than 4 days a week. Instead of focusing on going 6 days a week, just make sure that you don't go less than 4. Nutrition, make sure that you're hitting X amount of calories. Honestly, it's going to vary for your goals, and X amount of protein, carbs, and fats, and you don't go less than that. And at least more than half of the week you're doing that, or at 3/4 of the week you're eating correctly. And then resting, make sure you're at least getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and stretching whenever you can, physiotherapy whenever you can. Just marry a couple of ideas in each sector, and be as consistent as possible with them instead of trying to be like overly perfect in everything and also consistent, because being consistent is fucking hard over time, because you're just not going to want to do it. But in order to like make it easier on yourself so that you actually do it, is to not give yourself too much of an expectation. All right, so that's what I'd recommend to you, bro. Hey Manraj, what's up, bro? I see you here. I know you're trolling. Sean, bro, what's good? Happy 4th, Joe. Appreciate you. Thanks, man. Yeah, man. Fuck. Happy 4th of July to you Americans out there. I'm in Canada. I forgot that it was that it's something for you guys. But no, we had our Canada Day 3 days ago. So shout out to the Patriots. Yeah. Hey, dude, what's good? All right, people. That's it. That's all. We're gonna roll out.